Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching Fantavision, and today I'm once again discussing Google Stadia because, unfortunately, so many of these companies are creating these streaming services, and Stadia rather, is going to be setting the bar for how most of these other services are going to function, how they're going to be priced as well. I feel like they're going to have to be more competitive maybe than Stadia to try to set themselves apart. I'm sure there'll be exclusives. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And first of all, let's talk about pricing, because the reason I'm making this video is because Stadia, or at least the Google people involved, have confirmed that the game pricing for Stadia, full price guys, full price, $60 for a game for the Stadia. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, well, Fanta, duh, of course it's going to be full price. Here's why it shouldn't be. And here's why digital games shouldn't be either. Because there are costs involved with printing out the art, with making the case, with making the disc, with printing the art on the case, with the shipping, with all of these different things. There are these huge costs in making a video game that are being eliminated. And unfortunately, we, the consumer, are not going to be receiving any of the benefits of these cost-saving measures. Instead, we're getting further and further away from owning the game. And that's the problem with gaming in general these days, is with these games as a service model, with streaming, with digital, all of these different things that are going on in gaming right now are getting us farther and farther away from ownership. They're starting to be treated as licenses. And I mean, this is the farthest you can be, is streaming. Streaming is, you don't own the game. You are paying to be able to use it on their service, because if their service is shut down, you don't have that game anymore. It's gone. If for some reason they have to take it off for musical copyright reasons, like a lot of the Grand Theft Auto games have been patched to have the music taken out that has lapsed. Of course, Grand Theft Auto 4, if you're not online playing the 360, you have all of it. There are games that are just taken off because of licensing disputes. A lot of the Lego games were taken off. I believe the Lord of the Rings games were. And then, of course, remember Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth? A lot of people probably don't, because it's never been digitally available anywhere. It was available digitally at some point, I'm sure, and then physically, and now you can only get it physically unless you pirate it. And that's the problem with games not being yours, with just them being a license that you are allowed to use. If you're spending $60 on something, you should be able to own that thing forever. I am surrounded by games that I can play whenever the hell I want because I have a disc of them. I can put in the Borderlands Handsome Collection, Forza Horizon 2, Forza Horizon 3. I've got all these different games I'm just kind of looking at, and I'm like, none of these games can be taken away from me. But if your entire library is put onto Google Stadia, you're limited by so many different things. If you've got a data cap, oh no, I'm almost out of data, I better not play my game the rest of this month. I can't play my game anymore. Whereas I just pop in a disc. You, again, like I said, can have your game removed for one reason or another. They can change things about your game that you might not like. And I know, like I said, there are lots of these things that also apply to digital, and of course a lot of these disc-based games when you go online. But the difference between the updates and stuff like that with the disc-based game is that you can just uninstall all the updates and play your console offline to play whatever version or mode you want to play. So you're constantly somewhat in control, at least with the disc, whereas when you're just completely leaning on Google for streaming, you're screwed. Your game ownership is an illusion. And the scary thing is I feel like a lot of the companies want this. If you listen to Todd Howard talk about Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, he doesn't act like all of these players playing continuously and still playing is a good thing. I mean, he does a little bit, but at the same time, he seems very disappointed because he talks about all these different touch points. He wants to keep having touch points with the consumer, aka he wants to keep having people spend money in the game. He wants to be able to give them advertisements for new crap that you can buy in the game. And because those experiences were sold as full-fledged experiences, not these stupid games as a service type games, he can't do that. He can't sell more. And that's a problem to everybody in the game industry when, like I've said time and time again, this is not my words, this is Jim Sterling saying, and I love it, is that they don't want just a lot of money, they want all of the money. And when they have complete control over your ownership of your game, then they're just going to continue to try to siphon every single dollar and penny out of you. Along with Google Stadia, I mean, the thing is, I can't believe he says this. The guy says, so Harrison is one of the lead people with Stadia, and he says, I don't know why it would be cheaper. And that is the problem. That is the problem with the games industry. I don't know why it would be cheaper. Because it is not owned. You do not own that game. There's no product being delivered, really. It's just a stream of that game. And I don't understand where and how this became okay. People just kind of accepted that digital games were the same price as their physical counterparts. When I have always been saying, no, I will not be buying a digital game unless it's the only way I can get it, or a PC version of it. But the thing about PC is you kind of feel that value passed down to the consumer, because a lot of these games, they are heavily discounted during Steam sales or just regular sales. Sales happen all the time on the computer. There's also Humble Bundle that constantly packages great games for a very cheap amount of money. Of course, it's gotten a lot worse over the years. I mean, IGN bought it and it's kind of gone downhill. But overall, games are much cheaper on the computer. And the thing is you could argue, well, at least you don't have to pay for online with the Stadia. I mean, you can do the 4K one if you want the highest fidelity gaming, all that sort of stuff. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough when you have to invest in the streaming device, the controller, and I guess if you have to invest in the streaming service to get the highest fidelity. And you know what? Even if you want good sound for your games, you have to invest into the monthly program. So either way, you're probably paying for something just to get the games to sound and look like how you want them to be. So you're still paying a premium for something. So you've already got all of this money tied up, and it's going to continue to add up. And whenever you want to get that newest game, it's obviously not going to be offered for free. They're going to offer indie games, stuff that people really don't care about that much anymore, just like Xbox, just like PlayStation, which they do sometimes have good games bundled with PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Games with Gold. But most of the time, it's older titles, and that's what they'll be doing with Google Stadia. They're going to follow that same model. And that is not going to be worth the subscription. It's not going to be worth the fact that you don't own these games. It's not going to be worth the fact that a lot of people have to deal with data caps. And a lot of these games are already confirmed to not be cross-platform. So there's going to be a limited pool of players in some of these games. And there's going to be so many different problems I'm already seeing with this system. I said dead on arrival. This is dead before arrival. And the reason I think it's going to be such a failure is because of all the things I just listed constantly. If this is aimed at the budget-minded consumer, then those people are also probably going to be stuck with data caps. Those people are also probably going to be having the problem of not super fast internet because they can't afford it. So you're targeting budget gamers, but you're still charging full price for games, and you require a very good internet connection. Also, I mean, YouTube has had outages over time. Lots of these different services have had outages. I mean, I haven't had too many with Netflix, but I feel like the load of video streaming and streaming a game is going to be way heavier. So if people constantly have to deal with problems whenever a new World of Warcraft expansion comes out, or just a new online-only game, or a game with even just a big multiplayer presence, like remember Call of Duty World War II took like a week to get that online to work. Can you imagine that for the entire service, not be able to play your entire console for a week? So even though a lot of these people are saying, oh, even if the Stadia fails, this is our future, I really hope it's not our future. Seriously. It's because it's going to be just a worse future for all of us. It'll be a better future for all the companies out there, but it'll be a worse future for all of us. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think Google Stadia is going to be something you're going to be looking into. I thought about maybe getting one just to review it, but at this point, there's just too many negatives and drawbacks that there's no reason for me to review it. I don't understand who this is for, because the controllers aren't cheap, to get set up isn't cheap, and you have to pay a monthly thing on top of whatever your internet bill is already, on top of... It's just all these different monthly things that are constantly stacking up. There's all these different things that you can read online, all these different articles saying like Americans don't really know how much they're spending each month because of how many different monthly fees people have to deal with. This is just another one. They're just trying to get people that forget about subscriptions and try to get all the money up front and have you pay for a service that you really shouldn't have to pay for, especially when you're already spending $60 for the full game. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.